Hello everybody, my name is Joshua and I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of Coffee, Cats, and King, where we discuss books, both new and old. I will share with you pictures of my cats will make you wish they were your cats, and I will drink enough coffee for me and everybody watching. The mug today is an old favorite. This is from my niece. It says, "Thank you for being my uncle. If I had a different uncle, I would punch him in the face and go find you." So, before I get into anything for this video, I promised you guys cat footage on this one, and I'd intend to deliver. So, alright, I hope you enjoyed that prime havoc and chaos footage there. I'm here with this channel's first official weekly wrap-up. So, from November 3rd to November 10th, I read 5 books. There were 2 physical books, 2 ebooks, and 1 audiobook. So, you've had your cat footage. Let's go on and get into the books. So, first book in November, or in this first week of November, was Puzzle House by Duncan Ralston. This is about a group of individuals that are invited to this self-professed puzzle master's house after he dies. None of them claim to know who this man is, other than one lady who used to be married to him. And they're all there because he has died. He has put them in his will with the stipulation that they must come to his house and play out these escape room style puzzles that he has set up in his home. And those who emerge at the end, who go through the whole thing, get a crazy sum of money. I thought that I'd be really into it because one of my new favorite authors really enjoyed it. I, however, really did not. I never cared for any of the characters. In fact, I pretty much hated all the characters right from the start that I met them, which can still sometimes work, but in this case, I really just didn't care what happened. I thought that the progression in these escape rooms, rather than coming off tense and interesting, just felt plotting and boring to me, and this one just never took off the ground for me. So it was 1 star, and it's kind of dissuaded me from reading other stuff by Duncan Ralston, honestly. But yeah, it was a real letdown. Now the second one that I picked up was my first physical book of the month, if I can remember where I said it, and that was Stephen King's The Tommyknockers. This is a hefty fellow, as most older King books are. Comes in about 750 pages. It's a King book that most people do not talk about, and when they do, they talk about it rather unfavorably. King himself, in fact, has said in multiple interviews that that this is not a good book. That this is a book that was written towards the end of his coke phase. And that he says that there is a good book in here somewhere, but he would need to go through it and edit it down to about 300 or 400 pages to make it a good book. And I can understand what he means, because really, in comparison to other King books, this is not a good book. This is, however, a very entertaining book. I gave this one 4 stars. It is far, 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 far from what I would consider a good classic King book. But I picked it up because it had been, well, I hadn't read it since I was a teen, so it's been about half my lifetime now, and I decided it was time to pick it up again. But sorry, I keep laughing and grinning because this book is just so it's so silly and ridiculous at times, and I'm picturing Andrew over at It Came From the Page talking about this book, and it's just making me laugh. He's such an animated character, but yeah. So this is not a good book, but it is a fantastically entertaining book. This is his take on aliens, one of his few takes on aliens anyway. In particular, we start off with this woman going through the woods. She trips on something. She thinks at first it's just a can that has been kind of buried or something. And she's kind of curious. She starts digging, realizes it's a lot bigger than just a can, and that the type of metal that it is doesn't seem right. So she starts digging and digging and slowly realizes that she may be digging up an alien spacecraft. And as she starts digging into this thing, weird things start to happen to her and the other townspeople who are near this thing. And I mean, it doesn't take long for this story to go totally off the rails. I'd say the first maybe 200 pages are fairly normal, and then past that the rest of it just goes crazy. And at times this book can be kind of plodding and slow, but then you get into another scene where people are, you know, swallowing their teeth while they're grinning and pretending like nothing is wrong, or fleshy protuberances are popping out of people, and they're just totally ignoring it like it's nothing, you know, like it's an everyday part of life to suddenly sprout tentacles, or for your skin to be see-through. You know, it's fine. It's okay. But at the end of the day, this was also very much King not so quietly talking about the effects that nuclear power plants can have on people and the environment around them. It is dealt with in a fairly heavy hand, but it's so much fun. And if you can get through this zaniness and just enjoy for what it is, it's a lot of fun. It's not good King, but it is King kind of at his craziest. Take it for what you will. My next ebook of the month was String Them Up by William Sterling. And in one of my other videos, I very stupidly said that I just know this is going to be a 5-star read because there are creepy dolls involved, and it's going to be a 5-star read. It was not a 5-star read. It was a 2.5-star read. This is about a man that moves to a new town after some sort of tragedy takes place where he loses his wife and child. He moves there and takes on a job as a deputy working under an old colleague of his. And this is supposed to be a small, sleepy town. A young child comes into town covered in blood, and no one knows what's going on. They arrest this local toy maker that everyone really hates and despises. They think that he's a terrible person, although we don't really know why necessarily, other than that he's kind of creepy. And the story kind of goes from there. There were elements of the story that I liked, in particular, of course, the creepy dolls and the toys that come to life and wreak havoc. Despite its shortness, it wasn't very interesting. The characters, once again, were very unlikable, and it just didn't feel... I just didn't feel like there was much substance there. The editing was poor on this one as well, which was kind of surprising because it's from It's from a publishing company that I used to really enjoy, and lately their stuff, the editing in particular, has just been really bad on these last few releases from them. But that's opening a whole other can of something I don't want to get involved in because it's not a can of coffee. Point being, though, that this one just disappointed me. So the only audiobook that I listened to in this first week was Geek Love by Catherine Dunn. This was my PAX pick of the month. And this was a fantastic book. It was 5 stars. And I truly understand why this book kind of has a cult status to it. People who love this book really love this book. And I get it. It's just such an odd, strange, unusual type of book that I get it, I understand. This is about a family who runs a little circus sideshow performance, if you will, and the mom and dad take it upon themselves to go through tests and trials of various drugs and concoctions in order to give birth to as many freaks and geeks, if you will, as they can, trying essentially to build their own little sideshow out of them and their kids. This is not horror. It is, however, very horrific. It is disturbing, absolutely, but it is also humorous in an extremely dark way. It is going to gross you out, it is going to upset you, and it is going to make you, it's going to make you squirm a little. And yet, some of these characters come off as endearing, almost. Others just awful. And there's, I've said this fairly recently, so I didn't really want to say it again, but I think it's fair to say that there's just not much like this. The best I can say is, if you've not read this book, give it a read. Read the first 100 pages, and that will tell you whether you're going to like this book or not. And I say the first 100 pages because initially I was kind of skeptical. I didn't know if this was going to be for me, and I'd say that was probably the case for the first 50 pages. But by the 100-page mark, I was pretty well invested and coming along to the fact that this book was not going to meet my expectations, but was instead going to just keep surprising me and shocking me in other ways. So 5 stars on this one. I can see why PAX loved it. I can see why so many other people loved it. I will be eventually getting a copy for my collection back here behind me. And then the final book that I have to talk about is one that you all have heard about at this point. This is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. Now, when a book garners so much attention, it of course comes with expectations. It's kind of like someone that has never read the Percy Jackson series finally dipping their toes into it. You're worried because it's such a well-beloved series that you almost don't want to be that person that says, hey, these aren't that great, you know what I mean? I guess same could be said for getting into Tolkien, although that's understandable because there are people that just can't handle that type of fantasy, you know? But this book, I haven't heard anything bad about this book. I think every person that has picked up this book has absolutely loved it. So this one I was scared to get into, even though I kind of knew in my heart of hearts that it was going to end up being a 5-star, right? So I finally picked it up. Paige and I are both supposed to read this month, in fact. And I wanted to get to it before her. And this was a phenomenal book. This was 5 stars. If I could have given it 500 stars, it'd be 500 stars. This really is the book that you didn't know you needed until you read it. It was just so very wholesome and wonderful, and I loved every moment of it. It brought me so much joy. And I don't even want to get into the book itself because one, Paige does still plan to read it, so maybe we'll talk about it a little more there. And two, because this really is just a book that you need to stop thinking about, stop hearing about, just pick up a copy and read it. Even if it doesn't seem like it's your typical type of book, read it. Because if you're at all a fan of cozy mysteries, if you're a fan of fantasy, if you're a fan of just the happiness that things like coffee and cats bring you, then you're going to love this book. And I can't stop smiling thinking about it. This book will 100% be on my top books of the year. And if I can find a way to get that special edition that they did on Kickstarter not too long ago, I'm going to see if I can pull some strings, because I know some people. And even though it might be too late, I'm going to see if I can pull some strings and get a copy, one of those wonderful hardcover illustrated copies, because this book will forever be on my bookshelf. And yes, I say that, Paige, because after you read this, I'm totally going to steal it and put it on mine. Fantastic book. I love it. I'll probably talk more in depth about it, either with Paige beside me, or in my best of the year books. But just stop listening to other people talk about it. Pick it up and read it. You will not be disappointed. No matter who you are, you won't be disappointed. This is just... I said it on Goodreads. If this does not start a new subgenre, I don't know what will. Because we need more of this. We need more of Travis, but we also need more of this type of book. I loved it. I loved it. So that's it. As far as what I'm reading now, ebooks, I am on In the Dark by Richard Lehman. I'm hoping to finish that up here in the next few days. And then just in time for Thanksgiving, I plan to read what is sure to be a classic, Thanksgiving Day Massacre. Physical books. Today, I will be starting Where He Can't Find You by Darcy Coates. This is the new Darcy Coates with some really cool illustrations throughout, it looks like. So I'll be reading this next, as far as physical books. And audiobooks, I'm on Planet Simpson, which I'm absolutely loving at this point, and I know is going to be another 5-star read for me. So there you go. Thank you for joining me for the first official weekly wrap-up. I hope this works out better than my previous 4-hour-long monthly wrap-ups. And I hope you all stay safe, have a wonderful week, and most importantly, drink great coffee. Cheers.